Alright, so, I figured this would be more news, comic news that I could combine together into one solid thing, because there really wasn't enough to really, like, talk about, for both, pieces of news. One someone told me, and I kind of suspected this was going to happen. The other one I just drunkenly stumbled into. Like, I just kind of, like, oh, that's there. And I have, as far as I know, I haven't seen any articles yet, but this got revealed at Comic-Con, but there's no details from anyone. There are, like, legit panels shown of this, so it's real. I guess news uptake is just slow. That or no one just gave a shit to talk about it. But anyway, so yes, we are getting more comics centered around the last Ronin, which I guess will be the Ronin-verse. All right. And bigger news regarding Avatar The Last Airbender. We are getting a straight-up Azula comic. We are getting a straight-up Azula graphic novel, her own standalone story. So, yeah, let's get into it. Now, Last Ronin, TMNT Last Ronin was probably one of the best Ninja Turtles stories out there. And I kind of suspected they were going to not leave that cash cow alone. I knew they were kind of going to go back to it in some capacity, but I was like, you don't need to do anything with this. You can just leave it as is. Like, you can just keep this in its own little story. Like, I don't think I need it. At the same time, though, at least they're doing something interesting with it, in that it's a prequel. They're doing a prequel to The Last Ronin, which is talking about Michelangelo's years post the death of his family. Like, if you guys remember from the comic, in Last Ronin, Michelangelo, after finding out that his last two members of his family, Donnie and Splinter, had died, he went up to the mountain to just die. Like, he just went up there to die, and he just kind of sat there until eventually coming back down to more or less go on a suicide mission to kill Shredder's grandson. Now, it is interesting to note that I was like, do we need this story? Because, like, it doesn't feel like we... Like, it is interesting, but at the same time, I'm like, do we need this story? Do we really need a comic that we already know the story of? Like, him living in that mountain? Is it kind of like an Obi-Wan thing where he was forced to go on this mission and then went right back? Or was inspired to keep going? I don't know. It just kind of, like, it does kind of sound like Obi-Wan, right? With, like, just a guy who lost his family, his whole culture is gone, and then he gets brought out of retirement. He gets brought out to go on a mission, and then he goes right back to exile. Like, it just kind of sounds like it really does sound like Obi-Wan, doesn't it? So it's good. Like, it just depends on the execution. They also did... I have heard that they did talk about, like, other comics, like a sequel to Last Ronin, which I'm like, that story, even though, yes, they did leave for a sequel, like, they did clearly leave sequel bait, I'm kind of like, I don't need that. It feels like a finale. It just feels like a good final. Like, it felt... Even though it was an epilogue and it did say to be continues, I was like, yeah, that could still count as, like, a nice ending to the story. Like, that really does feel like a good ending for all of this. Like, it really does feel like a really good ending to the entire thing. But I get it. In the modern comic book market, you can't just do one story, and if it does well, you can't just do just the one thing and leave. Not in this market. Not in anything like that. I'm not hating this. I want to be very clear. I don't hate it. It's just like, I'm more of the mindset of, why do we need it? Right, money. But yeah, I mean, it is like, maybe we could see like the last Ronin versions of like what happened to the rest of the planet, because yeah, you don't think if the Foot Clan took over the entirety of on American soil, like, did that just not come up? Like, I want to see what happened there. That's a comic I would like to read, of the Foot Clan taking over while the rest of the country fell apart. Like, that's what I would love to see, is I can't remember his name, but the Foot Clan basically having a rise to power and leading to everything that happens to Last Ronin. And it'd be kind of cool, like, instead of the turtles, Harada fights... Harada... but yeah, basically that you could have like maybe like a version of this, a last Ronin verse, Ronin verse version of the Mighty Mutanimals. That'd be kind of cool as the opponents. Maybe we could talk about like what is there a Bebop and Rocksteady? Is there a Toka and Razar in this universe? That's a story I would like to read in this continuity. But like I said, with Michelangelo just out in the force, I'm like, they kind of explained what he did. Really nothing. Anyway. So I'm hoping that I'm not hating the idea. Keep that in mind. I'm not hating the idea. I'm just like, I just want the stories to be good. Anyway, so as for our other big news, and this one caught me off guard. Like I kind of expected with Last Ronin that we were going to get more stuff, but like this was the thing that made me go, wait, they're doing what now? And yeah. They got we not only have gotten announcements for the movies, which it looks like the Zuko movie was canceled and the Kyoshi movie was pushed back, and instead they're going to do a film about Aang and his friends post-series finale. So, yeah, I'm just glad they didn't cancel the Kyoshi movie. That's my thing. I'm just glad they didn't cancel Kyoshi. As for what was I going to say? Oh, as for the other comic news, we're getting a new Korra trilogy. Neat. And like I said, we're getting a comic centered around Azula. It's called Azula and the Spirit Temple. It's going to be a solo graphic novel that is going to focus on Azula raiding, I believe, a temple connected to, I think they said the Airbenders, but I heard like two different things of like, one, it's a Airbender temple, and the other one said it's like some kind of spiritual temple in the Fire Nation. So if you guys remember, we haven't seen Azula in the storylines at all since Smoke and Shadow. We haven't seen her. She's now the leader of like this weird ninja clan of all the people she met in the asylum. And now Azula is looking for something in this temple, which is I kind of like that. I kind of like Azula encountering the spiritual. I think that's a neat angle to really play with, and also kind of really talk about her mental state. I'm curious to see if this really does feel like this Azula comic, this Azula comic in particular, is going to very much like be set up for the future of those comics. Like it's going to talk a lot about Azula and where she is as a character and where she's going. Like I said, I kind of imagine this to be more like a setup comic for everything in the future for at least the Avatar comics. I don't know, like I imagine she'll probably show up because it's a fan favorite character, and yeah, they're probably going to have her in one of the movies, more than likely the Aang movie. I imagine that's where she's going to... I more than likely imagine she's going to show up there in that story. But still, I'm excited for that. Like, I really want to buy that. I think they said it comes out next year. I think they said spring or summer. I do know it's 2023, but I'm like, I want it now. Right? I just want it now. I'm excited. There's not really much to go on. At least there wasn't a lot of information I got from this, so it's very piecemeal. But I really hope they really delve into Azula's like fractured. Sorry about that. Anyway, I was pretty much done with the video anyway. So I am looking forward to these comics. I think I would say I'm more excited for Azula than I am anything else. There isn't. I'm not saying like I won't read Last Ronin, The Lost Years. I'm just saying like if you were to ask me like which comic I'm more excited for, it's Azula. It's going to be Azula every time. Anyway, but you guys tell me in the comments below. What do you guys think of the announcement for Last Ronin and the Azula comic? Are you guys excited? Are you guys not? And what stories do you want to see come out of Last Ronin? Like I said, the one I personally would like to see out of all of these is the Rise of the Foot Clan in taking over Manhattan without it gone, and like maybe have the Mighty Mutanimals, or maybe have like the neutrino. Like, I want to see what goes on cosmically. Like, we don't know what happened with the Krang, if Krang and the Utroms are present. We don't know if there's a Rat King in this continuity. That's all really cool. Like, that's the stuff I want to see. Like, that's the stuff I want to see in this Ronin verse. Anyway, so other than that, hope you all enjoyed this. I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the Multiverse.